Hey, hello people. Welcome you back to this channel, the FJ Show. Yes. Today's episode, we are gonna talk briefly on the talking points from match day 29 of the English Premier League, in which some matches were played over 3 nights: Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And then, as at the time of shooting this video, the last match of the match day 29, which is the match between Tottenham Hotspur and Crystal Palace, was still ongoing. And then it's gonna round up this match day 29 list of matches. Yeah, so let's get into it. First of all, number one game that we're gonna be reviewing tonight is the Manchester City Nottingham Forest game, which ended up 2-2 draw. Manchester City led and Nottingham Forest equalized. Manchester City led again the second time and Nottingham Forest equalized again the second time, and Man City scrabbled for a potential last minute winning goal. They couldn't find it, and it was crazy because Arsenal just won their match against Brighton 1-0 away to Brighton, and the hope for Manchester City, Pep Guardiola, will be, okay, let's try and win our match and then ensure that the gap between us and Arsenal, who are at the top of the league, is not too widened or is not too extended further. But it was not meant to be, because they tried and tried and tried. At the end of the day, it was too. It's crazy. Football is crazy. Arsenal had played a game more than Man City, so the Man City's team still have a game at hand to play, and they were just hoping to cut down the deficit from 5 to 2. If Man City had won the match, they would have cut the deficit from 7 to 5 to 5 points, hoping that when they win their game at hand, it's gonna be level back to 2 points between them and Arsenal at the top. But now that they have drawn this match, they are now a total of 7 points behind Arsenal, who are the league leaders. With the game at hand, once they play the game at hand, it's gonna be, and if they happen to win anyway, it's gonna be left with 4 points. So Arsenal will stick up them with 4 points. It will have been more intriguing if they had won. Man City had won their match against Nottingham Forest, but they failed to win, and Arsenal were able to capitalize on their failure to win the match. They drew, and then they extended their lead to 7, pending the time that Man City will be playing their game at hand. Yeah, so that's how the cookie crumbled at the Etihad Stadium. It's crazy. I didn't see that coming. Yeah, another shocker of the match day 29 was the match between Wolves and Liverpool. In fact, that's the biggest shocker of the week. If not the biggest shocker of the season so far, it's gonna be one of the biggest shockers of the season, this current season. Liverpool losing to Wolves, the team who are the last on the Premier League table, for them to have carved out a win against Liverpool. Nobody saw that coming. It was crazy. It was ridiculous. It was unbelievable. It was disgraceful. It was quite embarrassing. I don't think there's any Liverpool fan out there that watched this match or that watched the highlight or heard about the scores and would not be shocked about it and would not be disappointed that the last team, the Wolves are more or less the worst team in the Premier League this Premier League season. A few weeks back, this same Wolves had a draw against Arsenal, and everyone was bashing Arsenal. Everyone was mocking Arsenal, trolling Arsenal for not being able to win against the bottom table team of the league. Now it was a turn of Liverpool FC to have their own fair share of the spoilers by Wolves, by this Wolves team. Though they are fighting relegation, and they want to give it everything it takes for them to end up at still a much respectable, not so disgraceful, number of points. So they're gonna definitely give you everything that it takes to end up as strongly as possible, even though they are very much likely to go down. But they're gonna give it every fight for them not to be totally condemned and be written off entirely. They're at least gonna still try and fight for their pride, fight for the badge, and that's actually a dangerous team to meet out there. I believe all the other teams that are going to be meeting Wolves subsequently now will be very wary of that team, because they actually have proven to us that they can, on a good day, they can stand up to any team and then carve out a result and get a point at least, from any team in the league. Yeah, that's what we're seeing. And then, mind you, beating Wolves, who are the worst team in the Premier League, is actually not meant for everybody. But Chelsea fans can boldly say that, oh, they've beaten Wolves this season twice. I think even 3 times already this season, and it's a thing to brag about. So that's a bragging right for Chelsea fans. Yeah, that's about it about Liverpool. Liverpool, well, it was not meant to be. Sorry for that loss. Good luck next time around. Yeah, another match that came as a shock, was a bit of surprise to me, was a match between Fulham and West Ham. West Ham themselves have been struggling. They are the third to the last team in the league. They are the third to the last team on the log. They are currently 18th on the log. For them to have gone to Fulham and beating Fulham at home at Craven Cottage, I never saw it coming to. I thought that, okay, at most or at worst, the best results that West Ham could possibly get out of that match was going to be a draw against Fulham, because Fulham over the weekend just defeated Tottenham, and now having to meet West Ham, who were not as rated as Tottenham based on the number of points they've gathered so far this season and the position that these teams currently hold. You could say Tottenham are still way better than West Ham, but surprisingly, just like we all know already, that football is not mathematics. You really can't calculate what's going to be the outcome of any given match just by virtue of considering or looking at the positions that they hold in the league. Yeah, especially as far as English Premier League is concerned. Any team occupying any position on the log can come and defeat any team that might even be in the top 10 or top 5 or top 4 even, or might even beat the team that is topping the league. It's something that is doable in the Premier League. So, but it's still a shocker anyway, because based on current form, you would not expect a West Ham to beat Fulham at home. Though this same West Ham team just drew with Manchester United a few weeks back, and that was also a surprise. So it's the Premier League is so exciting, so interesting, that it keeps giving us shocker. It keeps giving us shocker of results day in, day out, week in, week out. It's crazy, but we love it, and that's why we all follow the Premier League. Yeah, and it has always been like that, and yeah, that's how it is. It is what it is. Yeah, Brighton Arsenal. Well, I wasn't surprised though. It was more expected for Arsenal to have beaten Brighton down, for Brighton to beat Arsenal, even though we all know that there's always possibility of upsets coming up in football matches, just like in the game of where Wolves versus Liverpool, where so unexpectedly Wolves defeated Liverpool 2-1. It could happen. And just like Arsenal themselves drew with Wolves a few weeks ago, if today Brighton had beaten Arsenal, it wouldn't have been much of a shock, but it would have been surprising anyway. But at the end of the day, Arsenal did the job. I didn't watch them. I didn't get to watch them, but I watched their live. But if only Brighton had converted their chances, I personally believe that the final scoreline will have been a whole lot different. They had quite a lot of chances. And from the reviews I've seen, that I've watched, a lot of persons have the opinion that Arsenal, they didn't really play their best game on the night. That Brighton played better than them. I could actually attest to that because I saw the highlights. I saw that Brighton actually had lots of chances that they failed to convert. So that's it. That has enabled Arsenal to extend their lead at the top of the league. Yeah, good luck, Arsenal. Nice one, Arsenal fans. Then Newcastle, Man United. Newcastle had a red card. They had a man sent off in first half, and they still managed to score a goal before Manchester United. Though eventually Manchester United equalized before the end of first half. So the first half of the match was ended 1-1. Then the second half came and Man U played and played, tried to create chance and created some chances. Ramsdale on the night was actually very superb. Ramsdale is a goalkeeper of Newcastle United, and he saved so quite a number of shots that could have ended up as goals. He saved the night for Newcastle United, and Man U kept pushing, kept trying, kept asking questions, trying to add an additional goal with the advantage of having an additional man after Newcastle's player had been sent off. You will normally expect that the same Man U team that have been in blistering form for several weeks now, they had not lost a match since the beginning of this year, 2026, until it happened against Newcastle. They tried and pushed and then pressed for a winning goal, but it never came. On the other hand, Newcastle, in the process of clearing the ball away from their home, from their box, the ball was squared to William Osula, who was just a substitute that got introduced to the game at second half, and he made a run on the right flank, cut through towards the 18-yard box, and then beat the defender, beat the left back, and just right in front of one of the center backs of Man U, he called the ball. What a fantastic goal that the guy scored over there. Nobody saw it coming. I watched the match. I watched at least second half of the match, and from about around 60 minutes or thereabouts. So I saw the goal going, and I didn't even know how it happened. With his left foot, he just called the ball into the net. It was crazy. Immediately there was an opera at St. James's Park, and it was crazy. It was a crazy night, and Man U, even with the advantage of having an additional man, they were not even able to play a draw. They lost, so that's another shock of the night. Maybe not really a shock, because Newcastle on their good day could match up with any team in the Premier League. They've always proven to us all that they could actually play football. They are very physical, very energetic. They know they can run with the ball. They know how to intercept. They know how to make runs, make passes, and they're also good on the counter. And the winning goal, the second goal that they scored, that Osula scored, which broke the heart of Man United, was also a counter from the back. The ball was launched to Osula from the flank, and then it drove himself all the way to the front of the box 18 and then caught the ball into the net, and then that was it. So it's more like game on for the battle for the top 5, because Man U are currently at top 4, Chelsea top 5, Liverpool top 6. So the battle is on right now for those who are gonna make up top 4, top 5. Yeah. And last but not the least, Aston Villa versus Chelsea. Wow, what a way to respond. Over the last weekend, we all knew how Chelsea fumbled to Arsenal at the Emirates Stadium, lost by two goals to 1 to Arsenal, and then in a way that really has dampened, that loss has further dampened the spirit of the fans Everyone was left fuming, angry, and just no one was pleased with the performance that the team had churned out in recent weeks. From a winning position, drawing with Leeds, from a winning position, drawing with Burnley at home, and then going to Emirates to lose, and not creating enough clear-cut chances and losing to Arsenal, even though Arsenal themselves never really played a fantastic match on the day. Chelsea just couldn't put up their best on that day. They even had a man sent off in the person of Pedro Neto. So coming to Aston Villa's match was more like, oh, the pressure. There was a whole lot of pressure on this team, on this Chelsea team. You've just got to prove a point to everyone that yes, we are here to stay. We are not going lower than we have gone. We want to change the trajectory of our season from this point going forward. And that's exactly what they did against Aston Villa at home. Interestingly, this same Aston Villa had beaten Chelsea earlier in the season under Enzo Maresca 2-1 at Stamford Bridge. In fact, that was my fear as the match was about to start. I thought about how even at home it was difficult for this team to put up a good show against Aston Villa, because the Aston Villa team too, though recently have not been in a great form, but at a point in this season they were on a 10-win streak, a 10-match win streak, beating everyone including Chelsea along the way until they met Arsenal at Emirates Stadium and they were beaten. So they've enjoyed a period of good form, tearing teams apart. So you want to say a team that had enjoyed this level of confident play and winning matches at will will want to give their best and win at home against Chelsea, whom they had beaten earlier in the season. So I thought that was going to be the case again, and only for Chelsea to go there and literally trash Aston Villa, even though Aston Villa scored first. Second minute, I was really disappointed. I'm like, whoa, is this what's going to happen again? And before we knew it, it was 1-1, 2-1, 3-1, 4-1. Kudos to Joao Pedro, our big striker. He was doing great things. He's had a total of 14 Premier League goals this season already. Joao Pedro, by the way, is one of the contenders for the signing of the season for Premier League, because he's really been in very good form. He's been scoring almost at every match, and each time the team needed him to show up, he shows up and delivers. That's the hallmark of a good striker, and I've shown just that. And Cole Palmer also added one goal, which wasn't a penalty goal. It was a regular goal, a shot from outside the box. It was needed. That was actually needed for his confidence. That was really going along with helping his confidence, because earlier in the season he had a series of injuries. Coming back from those injuries, he hasn't really been at his best that we knew him to be. He's just been managing himself. Yes, but this time around he's been able to get a goal, a regular goal. That will do a whole lot of help to his confidence level, and I hope he maintains this level of performance. And yeah, we hope to continue to see interesting moments coming from the English Premier League that we love so much. All the best to everyone. Thanks for staying tuned to this channel. We ask you to continue to follow and support. If you are new to this channel, kindly subscribe, like and comment, and also hit the notification button so that you are informed every time a new video drops. Yeah, have a fantastic, exciting, beautiful and restful weekend ahead, and wish your team all the best in this coming weekend. Ciao. God bless you. Bye.